I was a trucker for 15 years. What I saw on a deserted highway ended my career. Long read, sorry. I was a long-haul trucker, used to the lonely roads and weird sights at 3 a.m. But when I stopped for a lost kid on a deserted highway, what I saw tethered to him, and the question he asked in a voice that wasn't human, made me quit driving for good. All right, folks, strap in. This is going to be a long one, but I need to get it out. I've been sitting on this for years, and it's eating me alive. I used to be a long-haul trucker, crisscrossing the states on routes most people wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. I've seen some weird shit, ghostly hitchhikers, lights in the sky, animals that didn't move right, but nothing compares to what happened on that stretch of Highway 17 in the middle of nowhere, USA. It's why I don't drive anymore. Hell, it's why I barely leave my house after dark. This was back in 2019. I was 38, seasoned enough to know the ropes but still hungry for the overtime pay. Long-haul trucking isn't glamorous, but it's steady work if you can handle the solitude, the sleep deprivation, and the occasional creep who thinks a rest stop at 3 a.m. is a great place to start a fight. I was good at it. Loved the hum of the engine, the way the road stretched out like it was daring you to keep going. My rig was a beat-up but reliable Freightliner, red cab, nicknamed Bertha, for reasons I don't even remember. She was my home away from home, complete with a lumpy bunk, a mini fridge, and a CB radio that was more static than signal half the time. The route in question was one I'd done maybe a dozen times before. Highway 17, not the famous one, but a lesser-known artery that cuts through a chunk of the Midwest, connecting two big industrial hubs. It's the kind of road that feels like it was built as an afterthought. No gas stations for 80 miles, no cell service, just endless fields of corn and soybeans on one side and a dense, ugly forest on the other. The trees were old, gnarled, the kind that look like they're hiding something. Truckers called it the Gauntlet because it was a bastard to navigate at night. Narrow shoulders, no lighting, and a reputation for weird weather. Fog that came out of nowhere. Rain that felt like it was trying to drown you. Most guys avoided it after sunset, but I had a tight deadline and a boss who didn't care about ghost stories. It was late October, cold as hell, the kind of night where the air bites your knuckles when you step out of the cab. I'd been on the road for 11 hours, running on black coffee and a stale gas station burrito from Nebraska. The dashboard clock read 2:47 a.m. My eyes were heavy, that gritty feeling you get when you've pushed past tired into something else. I was fighting it. Windows cracked for the cold air, some go-doffel country song warbling through the static, slapping my cheeks every few minutes. You know the drill. You've got to stay sharp because a rig like mine doesn't forgive mistakes. Highway 17 was living up to its reputation. The darkness was oppressive, like it was trying to swallow the beam of my headlights. No moon, no stars, just a void outside the cab. The only sounds were Bertha's engine, a low, comforting rumble, and the rhythmic thump-thump of the tires on uneven asphalt. I hadn't seen another vehicle in over an hour. It was just me, the road, and whatever was out there in the dark. I was in that half-dream state where the white lines start to blur and your brain plays tricks. You ever get that? Where you're not asleep, but you're not exactly awake either. The road was hypnotic, the lines stretching and warping like they were alive. I blinked hard, shook my head, took a swig of water so cold it hurt my teeth, focused on the mile markers ticking by. 237, 238, 239. That's when I saw it. A flicker, just at the edge of my high beams on the right shoulder. Small, maybe 4 feet tall, upright. It was gone in a second, swallowed by the dark as I roared past at 60 miles an hour. My brain registered human shape before it registered impossible. My first thought was an animal, deer maybe, or a fox standing on its hind legs. But it hadn't moved like an animal. It was too still, too deliberate. I shook it off. You're tired, Mike, I muttered to myself. Seeing shit. It happens. Long hours, bad lighting, your eyes start conjuring ghosts. I'd seen weirder things. Trees that looked like people, shadows that seemed to dance. Part of the job. I cranked the radio louder. Some twangy bullshit about whiskey and heartbreak, and kept my eyes on the road. But the image stuck. Small. Upright. Not moving. Like a kid. No way, I told myself. A kid? Out here? At 3 a.m. on a dead-end highway in the middle of nowhere? Not a chance. No houses for miles, no campgrounds, no nothing. It had to be a trick of the light. A bush? Maybe, or a signpost I hadn't noticed before. I took another sip of water, tried to focus on the road. Then I checked my passenger side mirror. Habit. Always checking. My heart stopped. There, in the faint red glow of my trailer's tail lights, was a figure. Small, standing on the shoulder, exactly where I'd seen that flicker. It wasn't a bush. It wasn't a sign. It was there, unmoving, watching my rig pull away into the night. My hands tightened on the wheel. My pulse was hammering, a dull roar in my ears. This wasn't fatigue. This was real. Something was back there, and it was small like a kid. Alone. In the dark. Every instinct screamed at me to keep going. Floor it. Don't look back. But another part, the part that makes you human, whispered something else. What if it is a kid? Lost? Hurt? Out here in the cold with no one else around? Could I live with myself if I drove off and read about some missing child in the papers a week later? I argued with myself for maybe 10 seconds, but it felt like an hour. The figure in the mirror was getting smaller, fainter, as Bertha's lights faded into the distance. If I didn't act now, it'd be gone, swallowed by the dark. Against every shred of common sense, I slowed down. The air brakes hissed, loud in the silence. I pulled onto the shoulder, gravel crunching under the tires. Flipped on the hazard lights, their amber pulse cutting through the black. Then, heart in my throat, I did something you're never supposed to do with a full trailer on a narrow shoulder. I started to reverse. It was slow, careful work. My eyes flicked between the mirrors, keeping the trailer straight, searching for that figure. The red glow of the tail lights crept backward, illuminating the road behind me. The crunch of gravel was deafening, the only sound besides my own ragged breathing. Took maybe 2 minutes, but it felt like forever. Then there it was, lit up in the red haze of my lights. Kid. I stopped the truck, positioning the cab about 10 feet from them. Flipped on the high beams, bathing the shoulder in harsh white light. I wanted a clear look, and I wanted them to see me, just a trucker, not some creep in the night. The kid was small, maybe 6 or 7 years old. Hard to tell in the glare. They were standing on the very edge of the gravel, where the shoulder met the trees. The forest was dense here, a wall of black pines and tangled undergrowth that seemed to eat the light. The kid wasn't looking at me. They were facing parallel to the road, walking slowly, like they were out for a midnight stroll, completely ignoring the 80,000-pound rig that had just pulled up beside them. They were wearing pajamas. Thin, pale, almost glowing in the headlights. No coat, no shoes. Bare feet on the sharp gravel. In October, when the nights dipped below freezing, my brain screamed wrong. Kids don't walk barefoot on highways in the dead of night. They don't ignore massive trucks. They don't look unbothered. I killed the engine. The silence was instant, suffocating. No more rumble of Bertha's diesel, just the faint chirp of crickets and the rustle of leaves in the woods. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my fingertips. I rolled down the window, the cold air hitting me like a slap. It smelled of pine, damp earth, and something else. Something sharp, metallic, like ozone after a storm. "Hey!" I called, my voice rough, too loud in the quiet. "Hey, kid!" Nothing. They kept walking, slow and steady, one bare foot in front of the other. Their head was slightly down, hair, dark, maybe brown, falling over their face. I couldn't see their eyes. "Kid, you okay?" I tried again, louder. They stopped. Slowly, like they were moving through water. Their head tilted just a fraction, enough for me to catch a glimpse of pale skin, a cheekbone sharp in the light. Still not looking at me, still ignoring the truck. My skin prickled. Not the normal kind of unease like when you pass a creepy rest stop or spot a hitchhiker who doesn't feel right. This was deeper, colder, like something ancient had brushed against my soul. Kids don't act like this. Lost kids cry, run, beg for help. This one was empty. "What are you doing out here?" I asked, forcing my voice to stay calm. like I was talking to a scared puppy. It's late. It's cold. Silence. Just the soft scuff of their feet as they took another step. Then another. Like I was background noise, an annoyance they could ignore. My hand hovered over the gear stick. Part of me wanted to slam it into drive and peel out. But the sight of this tiny figure, alone in the dark, kept me rooted. What if they were in shock? Hypothermic? Couldn't just leave. Could I? Where's your mom? Your dad? I pressed a little sharper. Are you lost? They stopped again. This time they turned their head a bit more, still not fully facing me, but enough that I could see the outline of their face in the headlights. Pale, smooth, like a doll's. No freckles, no scars, just blank. Dark smudges where their eyes should be. No expression. No fear, no relief, no nothing. Lost, they said. One word, in a voice so soft it was like a breath of wind. Thin, reedy, like dry leaves skittering across pavement. Relief hit me, then dread. Okay, lost. I could work with that. All right, buddy, lost is fixable. Where's home? Where were you going? They turned their head fully toward the cab now, toward me. The headlights should have lit up their face, but it was wrong. The light didn't catch right. Their features stayed vague, shadowed, like the beams were sliding off them. But I felt their gaze. Heavy, intense, not like a kid's at all. It was like being stared at by something ancient, something that knew too much. Home, they said, that same reedy voice. Trying to get home. Okay, home. Where's that? I leaned forward, trying to sound reassuring. Is it nearby? A town? A campsite? I knew there was nothing for miles. No houses, no campgrounds, no cars broken down on the shoulder. Just the road and the woods. They didn't answer. Instead, they took a step toward the truck. Then another. My hand tightened on the door handle, torn between opening it and locking it. What was I gonna do? Let a kid climb into my cab? Drive them to the nearest town? Call the cops once I got a signal? It's cold out here, I said, stating the obvious. Why don't you hop in? I've got a blanket, some water. We'll drive until we get a signal. Call for help. My CB was useless, just static. My phone had been a brick since I hit the gauntlet. They stopped, maybe 5 feet from the passenger door. Still barefoot, still in those thin pajamas. They should have been shivering, teeth chattering, but they stood like the cold didn't touch them. Can you help me? They asked, voice a little different now. Not flat anymore. A hint of pleading, desperation. Yeah, I can help, I said, my mouth dry. That's why I stopped. Where's your family? How'd you end up out here? Another step closer. Their head tilted. A jerky, unnatural motion, like a puppet on strings. They're waiting, they said. At home. Where's home? I gestured up and down the empty highway. Which way? They didn't point down the road. Instead, they tilted their head toward the trees, toward the black wall of forest. In there, they said. My stomach dropped. The woods? Your home's in the woods. Lost? They repeated, like it was an answer, trying to find the path. It's dark. Yeah, it's dark as hell, I said, my eyes scanning the treeline. Nothing. No trail, no lights, just an endless void of trees. The kind of place you'd get lost in and never come out. Kid, you can't go in there. It's not safe. Can you come out? They asked. Their voice was softer now, almost a whisper. Help me look? It's not far. I just can't see it. Every hair on my body stood up. Get out? Into the woods? With this kid who didn't act like a kid, in the middle of nowhere at 3 a.m.? No. Hell no. But they looked so small, so fragile. What if they were telling the truth? What if their house was just beyond the trees, and they were too scared to go alone? I don't think that's a good idea, I said, keeping my voice gentle. It's dangerous in there. For both of us. Come on, get in the truck. We'll find help. They didn't move, just stood there staring. It's right there, they said, more insistent. Just a little way. If you step out, the light from your door will help. My skin was crawling now. Something was wrong. The way they kept pushing me to get out. The way they didn't react to the cold, the truck, me. The way their face stayed, blurry, like my eyes couldn't focus. I think you should get in, I said firmer. It's warm in here. We'll sort it out. Another step. They were almost at the running board now. Please? They said, voice soft again. My leg hurts. I can't walk much farther. Just help me. To the path. I was torn. My trucker instincts, honed by years of sketchy rest stops and weird vibes, were screaming to get out of there. But the human part, the part that saw a kid in trouble, wouldn't let go. I squinted, trying to see past them, into the woods. Was there a trail? A light? Anything? That's when I saw it. Behind them, in the dark, something moved. Not a branch, not a shadow. Something attached. It came from the small of their back, under the pajama top, stretching into the trees. A tube, thick and dark, like a piece of the night itself. It snaked across the gravel, maybe 15 feet, disappearing into the forest. It wasn't a rope, wasn't a shadow. It was part of them, seamless, pulsing faintly, absorbing the light from my beams. My breath caught. My blood turned to ice. This wasn't a kid. This was something else. They were still talking, that reedy voice droning on. It's not far, please. I'm cold. But I wasn't listening. I was staring at that thing, that impossible tube, tethering them to the dark. Kid? I whispered, my voice shaking. What's that? Behind you. They froze. A tiny flinch, barely noticeable. Their heads straightened. The pleading tone vanished. What's what? They said, voice flat, cold. That thing, I said, pointing, my hand trembling. Coming out of your back. Going into the woods. They didn't turn. Didn't look. Just stared at me. Those dark smudges where eyes should be boring into my soul. You're seeing things, they said. You're tired. No, I said, terror giving me clarity. I see it. It's there. It's connected to you. Silence. The crickets stopped. The air felt heavy, like a storm was about to break. Then their face changed. Not a monster movie transformation, but worse. Subtle. Their skin tightened, cheekbones sharpening. The smudges deepened, like black holes. Something ancient flickered across their features, cold and patient and wrong. Just come out, they said. The voice wasn't a kid's anymore. It was deep, resonant, like gravel grinding in a cave. Shook my bones. Come out. Now. I grabbed the gear stick, my other hand fumbling for the key. What are you? I choked out, staring at this thing wearing a child's skin, tethered to the dark by that obscene cord. Their head tilted, jerky, unnatural. Their face, God, their face was contempt, like I was a bug they'd failed to squash. Then they spoke, and I'll never forget the words. Why? They rasped, voice like a blade on stone. The fuck are humans smarter now? I didn't think. I twisted the key. Bertha roared to life, the sound shattering the silence. The thing flinched, stepping back. I slammed the gear stick into drive, floored the gas. The tires spun, then caught, and I was moving, the cab shaking as I peeled out. I glanced in the mirror. It was standing there, unmoving, the tube still stretching into the trees. It didn't chase, just watched, patient, like it knew there'd be others. I drove for hours, way past safe speeds, until dawn broke and I got a signal. Pulled over, puked my guts out, sat shaking until I could drive again. I finished the run, dropped the load, and quit. Told my boss I was burned out. Got a local job, stay home at night. I don't drive the gauntlet anymore. Don't drive at all if I can help it. I don't know what it was. Alien? Demon? Something older? All I know is it's out there, waiting. And it's pissed we're not as easy to fool as we used to be. Stay off Highway 17 at night, folks. And if you see a kid on the shoulder, keep driving.